Whoa! I'm tall. He's even taller. I'm Shawn. He's Jacob, and this is the PHNX Daily Bets show brought to you by the DraftKings Sportsbook app, America's top-rated sportsbook app. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment, and most importantly, leave a not one, not two,
not three,
not four,
maybe four.
Because
I'm
no. Because as Bomani Jones says, if you leave 4 stars, I'm inclined to believe you are a hater. Leave a 5-star review for the boys.
But like, of all the ways you could have started that show, why the I'm tall, he's taller?
Well, that's how I've been starting these shows. During Super Bowl weekend, I had Leah and Damon on the show. I introduced Leah as being Canadian and Jewish, and me being biracial and the child of divorce, and together we are Drake.
You do mention that a lot.
Damon is a white kid with a black name. I'm a black kid with a white name. And I'm tall, and you're even taller.
Even if we call you
Eric,
yeah,
that's even worse.
Worse.
So it is what it is. But none of that matters. What matters is making money
on baseball.
On baseball, exactly. Baseball is friggity fracking back, and it got back in a big way. I mean, it's been back, but last night, yesterday, I feel like it really got back.
But like it might be more back than it's been. I would argue the 70s.
It is.
Maybe let's give it the 90s.
Yeah, it's the most back.
The 90s was,
it is the most back it's been since the steroid era.
Sure. It might be more entertaining than football this year.
A 2-hour and 4-minute baseball game that ended in an Emmanuel Rivera fucking piss missile to left field.
Shawn and I, you bet your ass we were in the studio.
Oh, yeah, we were watching
getting hype for the fourth spring training baseball game of the year.
It was in the walk-off, and it was 2 hours and 4 mother trucking minutes.
It was electric.
A thing of beauty. Jacob, how happy are you that baseball doesn't take an entire day now?
I mean, I don't know if I'm super thrilled about this, but I'm not sure about the beer salesman.
Yeah,
because the beer sales, they probably close a lot earlier now.
Yeah,
but I don't know about you. If I go to a baseball game, I'm good with 1 or 2 beers. I'm not trying to get a beer every single inning until the 9th inning, and
well, I like going to baseball games alone, and I'm not a big drinking alone person. So when I go to baseball games, I might get a beer, but I'm not there to get that messed up. And unless the game's the thing is, if the game is good and there are a lot of runs, it will still be a long game.
Yeah,
it will go 3 hours.
You're probably looking at 2 hours and 40 minutes on average this year.
But if there's nothing happening, then why do you want to be there for 3 hours in a 0-0 game? Who for what?
Who wants to sit there for 3 hours and 45 minutes?
Right, the only time you are going to get a long baseball game is if the product is good. Well, not necessarily the product's good, but you're just getting a lot of offense, which is what they want. And if it's not a lot of offense, then you're out of there in 2 hours. It's because even me, as much as I love baseball, I go to games, and if it's 0-0 or the D-backs are getting destroyed, and it's the 7th, 8th inning, I'm like, I'm ready for this to end.
Baseball purists, we are now looking at you.
Listen,
fight us on this.
No, because baseball purists don't actually watch baseball, I don't think. There's no way they can.
You might be calling out Chris right now because she's going to come for our throats for saying that baseball needs to be shorter.
Listen, Chris, I know you spend a lot of time at Chase Field, season ticket holder. Think
about how many babies you could deliver.
Exactly. And if you don't know Chris, that probably sounds really weird, but it makes sense. Trust. I don't think there's if you don't like it, get over it. It's awesome.
We're baseball people.
We're baseball. We are baseball people.
You are not fully a baseball person, correct?
Not fully, no.
So, as somebody who is an outsider on this debate, how do you feel about a baseball game only taking 2.5 hours?
Oh, it sounds so hot.
Would you watch more baseball because of it?
Yeah, I watch baseball in general, but when it takes 4 hours, I'm definitely getting.
You're less inclined.
Yeah, I'm not paying full attention for the full 4 hours.
Yeah, and I will say this is one of the things I love about baseball. Why I think it's the best sport, and I've talked about this. I believe Joey Votto was the one that ultimately made this point. And because Joey Votto is a legend, if you didn't see his quote yesterday about the aliens coming and him getting on a spaceship,
Joey Votto would go with the aliens.
He would. No, I don't doubt that in a second. I think he's being completely sincere. But he made the point that baseball is amazing because there is no clock. You can go, and there's so many ways to enjoy baseball. You can go and never look at the field one time. And
baseball's an intellectuals game.
Yeah, but I mean, you don't have to. You could go and never look at the field once and still enjoy yourself at a baseball game because you're outside with friends, drinking beer, having food.
You might be in an airplane hangar.
Yeah, that's true. But Arizona's probably not the best example. But if you live in Boston, for example, and you get tickets to you can go to Fenway, beautiful Boston summer night, you don't have to watch baseball because you're just there for the vibes. Or if you love baseball, you can lock in. Or you could go watch a couple innings, walk around the park for a couple innings, go see some people, and come back, and there's still more baseball to watch. It's an amazing sport. I love it.
What made you fall in love with baseball? Just
Ooh.
everything that you mentioned just now, or is it something different?
That it was the one sport I wasn't embarrassingly bad at. So I enjoyed playing it. I also fell in love with the Red Sox at a time when they were dominant. Like I felt like one of my first baseball
Boston
memories
sports
is them.
in general were just kind of
but
dominant.
I generally speaking hate Boston sports, but there is no baseball team in Buffalo. I grew up, I'm not gonna lie, hand up, when I was a very young kid, I was one of those kids where I liked the Yankees and the Red Sox. Realized obviously couldn't do that. I think I don't remember this exactly, so I don't call myself a bandwagoner. I think I kind of made the decision around the 2004 World Series sweep of the Colorado Rockies. Shout out DNVR. And from that point on, I was a Red Sox fan. But now I'm an Arizona Diamondbacks fan. Why am I whispering? I'm an Arizona Diamondbacks fan. 04. No, 07. Yeah.
07.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The sweep of the Rockies.
Yeah, you said 04.
Oh, did I say 04? 04 was better.
I only remember because I only experienced pain.
Yeah, that's tough.
Diamondbacks got swept by the Rockies that year.
Just to get swept by the Sox. But yeah, I don't know. There's just, I love baseball. I love the atmosphere. There was a minor league team in Buffalo, so it was the most affordable sports for me to go watch. So I went to baseball games all the time growing up. I loved it.
So let me continue my question by saying, what does the pitch clock change about anything you love about baseball?
Not a damn thing. Not a damn thing. It is a little weird. We did get a scenario yesterday in the D-backs spring training game where
Sure.
We did have an inning that started 1-1.
That's kind of hot.
It is not for the batters. It's a lot hotter when the D-backs are the pitching team.
Sure.
But in case you didn't see the game, I forget who was pitching for the D-backs.
Mantiply.
Oh, yeah. Joe Mantiply was pitching for the D-backs. He took too long to get ready, and thus the batter took too long to engage with the pitcher, and so both got a clock violation. Count started 1-1, which obviously is pretty advantageous to the pitcher.
The only thing that I will think that baseball might be inclined to change is ending the game on something like this.
Yeah.
Ending the game on a pitch clock violation is just not competitive in the slightest.
And they made the point on PHNX D-backs yesterday that this will be a real problem if it happens in a playoff game. If this happens in the postseason, it'll be a real problem. I'm of the opinion that all of these rule changes should be, with the exception of like the bag sizes, and probably any shift rules.
Betting on
like
stolen bases is about to be the hottest thing you can possibly do.
We will get there in a second. We do have picks for you, some player futures. We'll get to in a second.
We just wanted to get on our soapbox.
We wanted to talk about some of the rule changes. But yeah, it will be a problem in the postseason. I'm of the opinion that they should just get rid of all the rule changes for the postseason. There should be no ghost runner. There should be no pitch clock. All those kinds of things.
Players love the ghost runner.
I know, but not for postseason. I think for regular season,
sure. For postseason, let's go. Give me a 20 inning baseball game in the postseason. I will stay up until 4 in the morning to watch a baseball game.
It should be as pure of a form of baseball as possible in the postseason. But in the regular season, there's 162 goddamn games. Speed it up. We don't need to be here forever. It's unnecessary. So I'm all here for the rule changes, anything to make the pace of play quicker. But you mentioned the bigger bags. Marginally, I believe 2-3 inches larger,
4.5 inches closer.
Okay, yeah. So it
so
shortens
2 inches
up,
on either side.
Shortens up the distance between the bases, which obviously could be slightly advantageous to some faster teams. I don't know if you know this about the Arizona Diamondbacks, but they have some fast kids on the team.
Wait, where? This one.
They are
right here.
I don't want to say they're good at baseball, but they're certainly fast at it.
World Series champs.
Well, tomorrow we're going to talk about team futures, whether it's or league winners, MLB winners, stuff like that. We'll talk about that. Today we're just doing player futures. But the NL West to win the World Series is pretty good odds. So tap in tomorrow.
There's some good teams.
There are good teams. There's
that's a tomorrow thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of good teams.
Tell me where we can find all of them.
Well, I was going to say, before we move on, any more thoughts on any of the rule changes?
I think it's going to be great for baseball. The shift ban, more hits.
Please, turn me up.
I think baseball finally might have found its formula.
Yeah. And teams will try and cheat their way around these, and it will require some adaptation and stuff like that. Tap into PHNX D-backs. They do a great job talking about a lot of this stuff and some of the ramifications.
All I'm saying is the first time somebody tries to throw their left field, they're out into shallow right field.
It's coming.
Corbin Carroll's going to slap a ball down the line and end up at
that's
home.
The thing. This D-backs team seems like the perfect, the shift beaters. They seem like they would thrive at it. We'll see, though. whether you want to bet on the D-backs, against the D-backs,
You do, though.
any team in baseball, there's only one place to do it. And of course, it is the DraftKings Sportsbook app. I'm super excited to bet on baseball. Like Jacob and I have a thing. He gives me just randomly home run hitters,
I'm
and
good at it.
They cash.
I'm just good at it.
He made me money last year on the D-backs. Nothing I can say. I don't know explanation. I don't know if there's magic. I don't know if you do some voodoo or something.
Voodoo magic.
I make money. He makes money, and we make it on the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Also, I probably should have put this in the headline. Kevin Durant is making his debut with the Phoenix Suns tomorrow. And oh boy, I feel like there's going to be an opportunity to make money on that. I have been high on everything DeAndre Ayton when Kevin Durant gets here. Really high on Chris Paul assists. And if you bet on the DraftKings Sportsbook app, not only do you have a chance to make money with your bets, but you will be awarded with free bets. So if you download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code word PHNX, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly, only at the DraftKings Sportsbook app with code PHNX. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. Okay, I have a feeling, spoiler alert, that the Arizona Diamondbacks are going to have some award winners this year.
I wish you could bet. I bet you could bet on a team to lead the league in stolen bases.
Ooh, I don't know.
Because there's
a lot of things you can bet on the draft.
That's tomorrow.
Yeah. There's a lot of really fascinating futures you can bet on. Again, we'll talk about team stuff tomorrow, but they have team matchups, so they'll give you two teams and ask which one will win more games. One of the ones that I found interesting, the Cubs versus the Boston Red Sox. I'm not very high on the Sox. I think the Cubs will be okay. But there's a lot of really interesting things. But today we're doing player futures. Yours are a little more out there.
It's about value.
Yeah, yours are a little more out there. I'll go with mine. We'll start with my pick.
Let's start with you.
A little boring. They're the favorites, but they're the favorites for the reason. Corbin Carroll to win the NL Rookie of the Year. Duh. I mean, everybody and their mother is saying that he's going to win Rookie of the Year.
Is it one of the biggest upsets in
I mean, it depends.
I know it's baseball, but
it depends because you look at last year. Bobby Witt Jr. was the favorite to start the year for AL Rookie.
Wasn't bad.
And then J-Rod came along.
Yeah,
so it might not necessarily even be about Corbin Carroll.
I don't know if there's a J-Rod this year though.
I don't know if there is.
J-Rod was neck and neck as 1A, 1B with Bobby Witt.
You can get some pretty good odds on Brandon Pfaadt, who shined yesterday in his spring training debut.
Carving some dudes.
Not his debut, but his debut this year. Just saying. But yeah, Corbin Carroll, he's going to be the best. He should be the best rookie in baseball this year. There's not much more to say about it. D-backs full of young stars. We mentioned the bases as we get to in a second. This D-backs team is going to have an opportunity to run all over the place, and I think Corbin Carroll is going to be at the top of that. And then Juan Soto, NL MVP. The reason I'm putting these here, I know they're the favorites, not that exciting, but this is the best odds you're going to get on them, most likely for the rest of the year, because I think they're going to run away with it. Juan Soto is projected to be top 5, if not first, in almost every significant batting stat, projection-wise in the NL this year. I think he's going to dominate. He obviously struggled.
What Juan Soto did last year?
Yeah, he obviously struggled after the trade, but I'm
it's
not
Juan
worried
Soto.
about it. He's going to be so well protected in this lineup. Obviously, Manny Machado's coming, or Fernando Tatis is coming back. Manny Machado's there, and I fucking love Manny Machado. I think this Padres team dominates this year. We'll talk about that more tomorrow. And then something that we both have: Corbin Carroll to be the regular season leader in stolen bases at plus 3,000. Value. Worse odds than Jake McCarthy, which I found interesting because I think when it's all said and done, Corbin Carroll will get more playing time than Jake McCarthy. Corbin Carroll seems like he has his spot in the outfield solidified. McCarthy might be splitting without Thomas.
Who had the fastest sprint speed in Major League Baseball last year, Sean?
Who was it?
Corbin Carroll.
Oh, that's right.
Who played the least games out of anybody that runs fast last year?
Who was it?
Corbin Carroll.
Oh, interesting. This is a really fast team. If you didn't know that, if you watched them last year, you would know that. And like we said, the distance between the bases is shorter. I think this team is going to thrive with some of these new rule changes. You also have young guys who, getting to the Juan Soto thing, actually, with the rule changes, the pitch clocks. I think when you get really good hitters in there, like Juan Soto is, it's going to make pitchers uncomfortable, and they are not going to have time to settle down, mix up their rhythm, get the batter off rhythm, stuff like that. I think batters, especially really good batters, are going to thrive in scenarios like that. And then as far as the pitch clock is concerned, a lot of these rules you have seen in lower levels of baseball already. So a lot of the younger guys are experienced with this. I believe it's either Dre Jameson or Brandon Fott said something along those lines, where I think it was Dre Jameson. It's like, I've been using pitching with pitch clock, so this is not really all that new to me. So I think young teams are going to have an advantage, which, getting to the Corbin Carroll thing, I think he specifically will be able to thrive in some of these new rule changes.
Yes.
And I know you have the Corbin Carroll stolen bases
I do.
thing, but you have some other interesting ones. So why don't we throw out your picks?
And I just want to lead into this by utilizing something that's actually not on this graphic.
Take the graphic off so Jacob can stare into the souls of people.
This is fascinating to me because there's a trade that went down.
There has been trades in baseball.
There has been trades in baseball. And one of those was made by your Arizona Diamondbacks. Correct.
The Dansby Swanson trade, of course.
No. That would be the trade for Zach Gallen.
Yeah.
However, if you look across the landscape of baseball, I would be hard-pressed to find somebody outside of the state of Arizona that would consider that the Zach Gallen trade. Most people consider that the Jazz Chisholm trade.
Yep.
Now, I was just perusing the odds today, trying to figure out what I was looking for. And I just happened to stumble across the fact that Jazz Chisholm sits top 20
plus
in National League odds.
Tied with a guy you may know, Bryce Harper.
Jazz Chisholm is tied with Bryce Harper for National League MVP odds.
Which is kind of crazy because one of the teams was in the World Series and Bryce Harper was the best player on that team.
And one of them didn't hit 250.
On a team that didn't make the playoffs. And he's not the best player on the team.
Boy.
Like, I get that the best player on that team is a pitcher, but come on now.
He barely, I get it. Jazz Chisholm's an electric, exciting player, and I would love to have him on my baseball team.
If the Marlins make the playoffs, it's probably because Jazz Chisholm is playing out of his mind.
Is he a top 20 player?
Well,
in the National League. In the National League, is he a top 20 player?
A top 20 position player, because I'm leaving pitchers out of this. In the National League,
this frustrates me.
Probably, but he's definitely not the same as Bryce Harper.
He might be the most overrated player in the National League.
Listen, I love Jazz Chisholm. He shouldn't be on the cover of MLB The Show. That's for damn sure. But I do think,
look at that trade, objectively look at that trade.
I mean, Zach Gallen was
Zach Gallen. The Diamondbacks won that trade.
Yeah, well, let's get into your picks. Let's get into your picks.
Me into my picks.
Because you have an interesting
National
one.
League Cy Young plus 1,500.
He was relatively pretty close to that award last year. Yeah. Where was Jazz Chisholm in MVP voting? Do you know? I don't know if he got it.
Non-existent.
Yeah, exactly.
Just
saying.
Make it make sense.
Who won the trade? One of us has an ace. The other has a slightly above average position player.
Sure. Who's fun to watch?
This is not a Jazz Chisholm hate show. I love him, but
Jazz
he's
Chisholm,
not
if
Zach.
you want to come on and talk down to us, because I know you're watching this, you're more than welcome.
Jazz Chisholm can win the NL MVP and Zach Gallen can win the NL Cy Young. I wouldn't have a problem with it, but one of those is much more realistic than the other, and the odds suggest that.
Zach Gallen. Now, what leads me to believe that Zach Gallen is going to take another step forward this year. Now, you're asking, how can he take another step forward? The man had like a 2.5 last year, which is unreal. Probably the best pitcher in baseball in the second half of the year.
Yeah.
I think that the pitch clock will help him out. One thing that Zach Gallen was very, very good at doing was limiting base runners taking extra bases, right? He tended to slow down the game a lot. Now, that also tended to him getting into a little bit of trouble. He had his Houdini act from time to time, where he would let the bases, he'd walk a guy to lead off the inning. He'd give up a single. There'd be first and third, and all of a sudden there was nobody on base, and he got out of the inning with no runs given up. I think the pitch clock enables him to just rock and fire.
I like that theory.
Rock and fire. That's all you got to do. It's just pitch and catch. You'll throw more strikes. Your stuff is nasty. His curveball is probably a top 3 curveball in baseball, and it's not, 2 or 3. It's probably 1.
Yeah.
It's pretty filthy. But I think Zach Gallen stands a chance to take one of the biggest step forwards this year, and that's crazy to think.
Yeah. I mean, you look at how many people knew Sandy Alcantara's name before last year.
Sure.
He was the best pitcher in baseball last year. So, I like that. I really like this AL MVP one that you have.
Jose Ramirez might be quietly one of the best players in baseball.
100%
I
agree
think
with
he's
you.
a top 10 player in baseball.
I agree with you. I think he's the most underrated player in baseball.
Sure,
And
sure.
that's in part because he plays in Cleveland, but I 100%.
Cleveland last year surprised everybody.
Yeah.
They won.
I mean, that division
it's a very
sucks.
weak division,
Yeah,
yes, but they won 92 games.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's no discounting that. A team
No.
that was projected to win 78-ish games last year won 92.
I will say this, as far as the Cleveland baseball team is concerned, they don't have to play. They don't get to play that division as much. That is something we'll talk a little bit more tomorrow. But with the schedule changes,
yes,
certain
still think
weak
they're
teams
good.
are going to be hurt.
I still think that they're the Guardians.
I mean, I agree with you. I mean, they will be right in the conversation.
They have a very
division
keen eye for developing pitching.
Yeah,
it's just kind of a weird thing to think about. But like Cleveland, they just develop pitching.
There's a lot of really good.
And then they
pitchers
also have this guy, Jose Ramirez, who just is quietly
hits
315 every year, hits 30 home runs, hits doubles, triples, drives in like 120 runs a year.
Yeah, quietly he is one of the most underrated baseball players.
He is incredibly talented, and I think the value at plus 1,500 that you could get for a guy that statistically is just year in and year out one of the best players in baseball.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's too much value to not just throw money on him every year.
Yeah, he finished fourth in MVP voting last year.
So I think Jose Ramirez is my favorite to win the AL MVP.
Yeah, I honestly love that. And at plus 1,500, you get great value there. Obviously, it is tough because there is a man named Shohei Ohtani at the start, and there's a guy who hit a lot of home runs last year in Aaron Judge, both with the best odds, respectively, to win this award in the AL. As far as Shohei is concerned, obviously, if he stays healthy, there's no reason to think he won't win it. But he has had injury problems in the past, so there's that. And it's hard to believe that Aaron Judge is going to repeat the production he had last year,
sure,
especially now that he's got his contract.
It's just hard. Baseball is just one of the hardest sports you will ever play.
It is, yeah. And I mean, this is why you watch the show and why you get in on your bets early, so you get these odds. And then lastly, obviously, the Corbin Carroll regular season stolen base leader, as we talked about already.
That's easy money.
That's
money in the bank.
Easy money.
Actually, not even the top odds on his team. Jake McCarthy.
Which is interesting to me because, as I mentioned, I don't think McCarthy is going to end up playing as many games as Corbin Carroll does. Obviously, Jake McCarthy is hella fast, and if he plays, then there's a good chance of it. But like I mentioned, I feel like if someone's getting if they need to make room on the team for whatever reason, it's Jake McCarthy that's getting pushed out before Corbin Carroll.
Yeah, I mean, there's rumors of them inking him to a long-term extension soon. So please.
Interesting. Another one that I didn't mention, but I find fascinating, Shane McCallahan to lead the baseball in strikeouts.
He does carve up some dudes.
He does carve up dudes. And last year at the All-Star break, he was, I believe, tied for the lead in Major League Baseball for strikeouts. And he's got really good odds. I think he has the 6th or 7th best odds amongst pitchers to lead the league in strikeouts. Garrett Cole is a favorite, who I dislike. So just something to keep an eye on. There's a lot of great things on the DraftKings Sportsbook app. There's a lot of great things here at PHNX. So subscribe to our YouTube page. Obviously, you're here right now, so just click that little subscribe button. You can follow the whole operation at PHNX Sports on Twitter. But is there anything else before we get out of here?
There's a D-backs game in less than an hour.
There is.
It's not on TV, but I'll probably watch it on Gamecast because I'm a degenerate.
Yeah, I like baseball. Where can people follow you?
Jacob_Franklin 4.
Don't forget the 4. You can follow me at Shawn_to-pause. You can follow the show at PHNX_bets. But we'll be right back here tomorrow at noon talking about team futures. Hint, I think the Padres are going to win the World Series. So tap in tomorrow for my reasoning as to why. I know people don't want to hear it, but it's just the fact of the matter. It's not a fact, I guess. It's the fact of my matter. It's what I think. But you'll hear more of what we both think tomorrow. PHNX Bets every day, Monday through Friday at noon. That's all we got for you today, though. And the wise words of Shane Dievenbach. Peace, love, and
I like big bases.
I like big bases, and I cannot lie.